Read it properly. Mushoku Tensei creator is really tired of dealing with lazy critics. If it's one anime I hold in high regard with storytelling that surprises me, but in my opinion is too often misrepresented and dealt surface level criticism, it would be Mushoku Tensei. Mainly because of the protagonist Rudeus, but I'll get to that later. But I think the article touching on the author's opinion of this was interesting. In his analysis, meaning the author, the only criticism worth considering comes from those who truly understand the series, and I would agree. Those who would have read the manga or watched the anime. In other words, valuable feedback comes from people who have invested time in fully grasping the story. And I think for creators, that's a hard thing to do sometimes, especially with social media today. Being difficult to navigate between trolls, trying to get a reaction out of you, seeing it as a badge of honor if they can, and genuine critics who actually love your work and want to see it at its best. Or distinguishing between criticism and hate, where criticism is when offering feedback, pointing out flaws, but with the intention the creator will take heed to better the work, where hate is just, that shit's trash with no reasonable explanation of why, just knee-jerk reaction. On his X account, Maganote revealed that he doesn't mind fans assessing his content through summaries for casual enjoyment. However, he draws a line at fans who read or watch summaries and then criticize his work. Yeah, I think that's like people who actually do their due diligence when speaking on a topic versus those who just read Wikipedia and then all of a sudden think they're an expert in said topic. Relying solely on summary videos to understand Mushoku Tensei would limit one's ability to grasp the full context of the story. Very true. And it's kind of ironic coming from this outlet, which I'll get to why soon. But I liken this to Sumasho, where people got a summary of what their anime was about and automatically labeled it as PDF content, let's say. Because it's about a guy whose wife dies and reappears as a 10-year-old girl, and people had this knee-jerk reaction to that and they have no idea what the story's about. For example, while many isekai downplay their protagonist's backstory before their death and reincarnation, Mushoku Tensei places significant emphasis on it. And that's very true as well. Jobless isn't just a typical isekai where a character dies in an accident and is brought to a new world, and then that's all you need to know. But Rudeus' backstory is necessary to understand because it dictates how he navigates himself in this new world and with each character he meets. It's totally integral to the story and a key factor to why he goes through so many ups and downs, which is why I praise this anime's character development. It takes its time, doesn't rush itself.
You can't rush art.
I remember when season 2 started, while I missed the action season 1 had, I still appreciated the time it took to flesh out Rudeus' development, which led to a climactic last 2 or 3 episodes of season 2, where it gave all the action it needed and more with emotional power that just hits deep. Like, man, you felt for Rudeus. Now, to this article. Love it or hate it, Mushoku Tensei is one of anime's most controversial shows for a reason. I would say the main reason is that people can't distinguish between fiction and reality, surprisingly so in today's world, and that their number one reason I'll start with is that Rudeus is mentally in his 40s. Now, when I hear people criticize this, they don't speak on it as it being a character flaw to the story, but like this is a real person you need to call the cops on. Like there's a guilty guy running rampant in the streets or something, and I kind of laugh each time I try to sort through this because there's people trying to map on real world morality onto fictional content, and I chuckle sometimes at the thought of it. I use Ninja Scroll a lot as an example, but it's like me seeing that rock guy villain trying to have his way with the woman without her consent, and me calling the cops saying, hey man, there's this guy I'm watching about to commit a heinous crime through the screen, and you need to get here quick before shit goes down. Like, that's how silly it sounds to me sometimes, and I just don't consume entertainment like that. Now, I'm gonna fly through some of these reasons, then speak on 2 in particular in detail that interest me. Paul cheats, but it isn't a big deal. Now, they speak on Lilia, the maid who lured him into her room. Admittedly, he couldn't help himself, and I don't blame him, and got her pregnant. And they say how it undermines Zenith's character and how she doesn't make a big deal out of it. Now me, I saw it as a strength in not wanting to tear her family apart, seeing that family is what she values most and is paramount to her, because she knows that at the end of the day, Paul loves and prioritizes her. Plus she knew who she was getting with. He got around. A lot of women characters know him personally. He's a man who's high in demand and last name carries weight, and she understands, so shout out to her. Now, if she cheated, would it be the same?
No.
Rudeus gropes 2 girls to fix his ED. Me, I thought this was funny, but let's hear what they say. The worst of it comes when Rudeus ties the 2 up in chairs and gropes them. At this point in the series, Rudeus has struggled with erectile dysfunction and uses this opportunity to fill the 2 girls up, trying to stimulate some excitement for himself. He doesn't, and the series moves on from the moment like it was normal. Guys, nothing about this story or show is normal. It's literally fantasy about a guy who gets hit with a truck and reincarnates into a different world. Stop taking it so seriously. Rudeus buys a slave. I remember this really got people upset. So good luck with watching any historical film. Like, people react to this like it's advocating slavery to bring it back in the real world, at least in the Western world. I'm just so glad I'm able to watch entertainment and not think like this. Like, it doesn't even cross my mind to cancel the show because Rudeus buys a slave and this fantasy world. Like, that, this doesn't exist. Rudeus cheats on Sylphie with Roxy, but it's not like this guy got drunk at a bar and decides to go buck wild. Like, this was a moment where he was deeply vulnerable and depressed. Spoiler alert, 1, 2, 3. After his father dies brutally, Rudy falls into a deep depression. Roxy saves him from his sadness by sleeping with him, despite the fact that Rudy has a wife back home. It's a sad moment because Rudy betrayed the faith of, what? I'm sorry. This is a sad moment because he slept with Roxy, not because, his father just died and his mom is like lobotomized and stupidified, like, basically infantilized through whatever curse was placed upon her. Not sad because of that. All right. Okay, Rudy betrayed the faith of the woman who put her trust in him when he could save had just, I'm sorry, it's funny how they point out that's the sad moment, not because his father just died and his mom is basically in a childlike state. I'm sorry, that's just hilarious how they're viewing this story. Now, what had me concerned was, is Sylphie going to leave him if she finds out? But never would think this would be controversial to fans. It's nothing outside of the norm for this show. If you're this far into the story, this content shouldn't be shocking. It's like when people still get offended about Chainsaw Man because Denji is a sex-crazed character, and then when he acts like a sex-crazed character, they get outraged. But by this point, you have no one to be upset at but yourself. Now, here's the point I want to speak on. Rudeus worships Roxy's underwear. Rudeus treats Roxy's panties as a sacred relic. It's an odd point that the story focuses on heavily, making a lot of viewers more than uncomfortable with Rudy as a character. Alright, now, what I like about this anime is that it shows growth in Rudy's character. He's someone who was extremely bullied his whole life, which led to him being agoraphobic, which is like basically being scared of everything, causing one to be a shut-in damn near, which even extends into his reincarnation, scared to leave his front lawn, and the one person who gets him over that is Roxy, introducing exposure therapy to him, getting him out of this comfort zone. But then she becomes a symbol of his new comfort zone, so whenever he feels anxiety, especially after being abandoned by Eris, Roxy's panties are like a memento or safe place to provide a safe haven for him. And that's why I say his backstory is very crucial to the plot. You can't just forget a lifetime of bullying overnight. We're not talking give me your lunch money type of bullying. We're talking extreme, embarrassing, trauma-filled bullying. So when he feels anxiety, it hits like a thunderstorm in his head, lightning bolt striking down at him, and Roxy is the only way to bring him peace in those times. So it's not just that he's googly eyeing these panties, he actually is in a moment of distress when he's gripping them, almost like prayer or meditation for him. So now, finally, Rudeus has 2 wives. Now, when this scene is where Sylphie really shined for me, not because of the decision she made, but because her whole demeanor just changed from the person she was day one, and within the time lapse of 8 months from when Rudeus returns with Roxy. And the way she carries herself was just full of grace and understanding. You can tell she matured into her womanhood, and it shows in the different reaction to Rudy's proposal, from Rudy's little sister to Sylphie's response. Like, she didn't lash out at Roxy like she was some girl Rudeus picked up at a bar and decided to bring home. She listened, thought it through, and accepted Roxy, and actually thanked her for being a place for solace for Rudeus through this tough time. Because it's not like Rudy hasn't almost resorted to, doing himself in. We've seen at times when hitting rock bottom. And I think that's something that Sylphie understood intuitively as they reunited with each other, how quick to tear Rudy is at times, that Rudy has been through some real tough times, that Sylphie herself became an anchor for Rudy, giving him something he always wanted. And like Zenith, she understands who her husband is, and surprised this didn't happen sooner.
To be honest, I had figured it was only a matter of time before he asked to bring another woman home. He's kind of a horn dog, but he does have a big heart.
So Sylphie has become a character I hugely respect. Not from the decisions she made, but just how she carries herself. Like I said in a recent video, there is strength and femininity, and it shows in the scene. Sylphie is fully in her womanhood, and she just has a glow and a presence around her. Ellen Elise, another character who surprised me. At first, she served as comedic relief from how often she gets it on, like, damn girl, you need it like that all the time. But she turned out to be a character I admire too. After we learn she's cursed that if she doesn't have sex enough, she'll face the threat of death. And I remember learning, I was like, damn, okay, damn, that's deep. And she's sad because she assumes she'll never find happiness with a husband because of this curse, and who's going to want to accept basically Maho until she meets someone willing to accept her, and then they fall in love. And that makes me kind of happy for her. And I love her role with Rudy, where she's almost like his cool aunt or something, where she helps guide him a lot, mentors him in a way, offering advice whenever he needs it. Like, I really was impressed of her development and the role she kind of fell into for him, even though like he was cursed by a succubus. He almost, came on to her again. He's just like, damn. He can't escape it. But she becomes a well-rounded character, in my opinion, and truly has her moments of being a human, and I love it. So, yeah. But that's all I have for this video. Tell me what you think in the comment section below. I thought these two articles were really interesting. And like I said, I love this series. The story has truly developed into something I just wasn't expecting. Characters, the world, and all. And I can't wait for season 3. I don't know when it's dropping. I have to look it up. I refresh my memory on that. But like I said, this series and anime just turned out to be something I didn't expect from how it started. And it's one of the ones I anticipate. One of the ones when it's running, I look forward to every week for the new episode. So yeah. If you haven't already, check out my music on Spotify. If you love those samurai shampoo, lo-fi mellow boom bap vibes, then my music is definitely for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Free think. Peace.